Hello and welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday, and this is Chart Request Live. We do the show twice a week right here on Stock Market TV, every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. I am joined by my esteemed co-host and friend, Patrick Dunawillow of the Chart Report, and we're going to take all of your chart requests and go through them live right here. How you doing, Pat? How was
I'm
your
doing
week?
well. Luckily, we got kind of a light mailbag this week, so we'll be able to get to the chat maybe sooner than usual. Hopefully,
The chat feels like we've just left them.
I know. We got to give them some love today. So,
Let's
before
jump.
we kick it off, though, you got any thoughts? Seems like kind of a boring tape lately.
Listen, my thoughts today. UConn, back-to-back national championships. I just had New York City bagels delivered to my house. I'm leaving for a Miami trip tomorrow. My life is good. I want to get to what everybody else wants to talk about.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, let's kick it off with Mark Zerby in the chat. I see him in there. He had kind of a general question. It was a little broader, and I think it's a good way to start off here.
Yep.
So he wanted to know about XLK,
Yeah.
and it sounds like
Good
he's
question.
kind of thinking along your lines. After last week's show, everyone was talking about industrials, energy, materials, and commodities. Nobody is talking about tech really. Um, you know, what do you think of tech right now, basically? Break down XLK. And he mentioned AMD as well.
Yeah, AMD I still like. We'll flip to that one after this. But I mean, the situation with tech is simple, right? This was the early leader. Took out these prior cycle highs way back in Q4 of last year, long before most groups. Industrials are like, hold my beer. But, really, aside from the two of those, other sector ETFs had not done this, right? So technology has been the place to be for this bull cycle, at least one of the good places to be. And for now, when I look at this right here, I'm not going to say it's rollover alert, but momentum is waning, right?
Yeah.
Um, Tops like this, short-term tops like this, tend to fail in bull markets. So maybe this is a good buying opportunity. But I think the bigger point about XLK is not in the absolute trend, it's in the relative trend, right? So
Yeah,
it's
that's a
not
really good
that
point.
it's not that I'm standing here telling you you're not going to make money in XLK. It's that you might underperform and experience some opportunity cost, and there might be better money making opportunities in other groups right now. And I really believe that, not just for right now, but I think the rest of the year is going to go that way. It's been tech, 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 tech.
What do you
Right?
think about his first point, on how everybody's, kind of all of a sudden getting excited about industrials, energy, materials, and commodities? Do you think, does that concern you when you see kind of sentiment get all excited about one group all of a sudden,
He,
or?
he asked about sentiment in commodities.
Well, just that everybody kind of seems like they jumped on the bandwagon recently,
No,
as commodities have picked
he's
up.
probably just watching too many of our shows.
So
The
we're just too excited about it.
as Yeah, and we tend to not follow the crowd and be right. The sentiment that you need to worry about is in tech, right? This is
Yeah.
AI fueled bull market. These stocks are up big, have already been, made some massive gains. It's all anybody wants to talk about. The bull market is fueled by these AI companies. You got to buy the AI companies. You got to buy Nvidia. What they don't tell you is that if it really is an AI fueled economic cycle, then everyone should benefit, right? This should be a massive productivity revolution where even energy and a gold miner or a steel producer is going to employ AI in their process and either generate more revenues or be able to reduce their cost structure. Either way, increase their margins, right? If what these bulls are saying about AI is true, this is about a lot more than just technology. It's about everyone who it touches, which should be everybody and anybody all around the world, right? We're all going to be using these AI tools. They're going to make our cost structure far more efficient, maybe boost revenues, bottom line, higher margins, right? Higher economic growth, yada, yada, yada. This is what all the smart people have been saying. But that doesn't mean you have to go to NVIDIA to express that thesis. When I look at XLK SPY, if I can just go back to the relative trend right here,
Yeah,
quick, this is the problem. We talk about overhead supply in other areas. Patrick, this is the
yeah.
dot-com bubble high in 2000. This
Wait,
is
we still haven't cleared those in tech? I thought we cleared those a while ago.
no,
Wow. So it makes sense, you're saying. Like we're kind of seeing this underperformance at a very, very, very logical level. And we've seen so many of these groups. Maybe I'm thinking of semis versus SPY, but
yes, you
similar
are.
groups took a pause when they also reached their .com bubble highs, right? Like we see this very often.
Yeah, so like you said, semiconductors, they did. They took a big pause here, right? At the COVID, at the last cycle highs. And then we had the bear market in 2022, and then they ripped higher. Tech is right there now. So I think, so here we go. Coming into ahead of COVID, this is 2019. We had a sweet bull market in 2017 as well. It was all tech. Before COVID, it was all tech, right? Then COVID hit. We gave back a little bit during the bear market of 2022. Then it's been all tech again in the new bull market, right? So at a certain point, another sector has to take a big leadership role, and tech has to take a back seat. Whether that happens now, next week, next month, next year, I don't know. But the gains here have already been pretty solid. Don't get greedy. Look to other areas. Sentiment is not overdone in commodity stocks. If you feel that way, it just means you're probably listening to a lot of good people. But we pay very close attention to sentiment. Nobody's interested in energy or
Yeah,
materials still at this
I
point.
think that was kind of the point I was fishing for is, I think somebody asked me the other day, they were like, do you think crowded sentiment among technicians is a thing? And I think you can get into your little echo chamber where you're following the same people and you hear the same thing over and over again, but it doesn't represent the whole market. Like you said, there's not people chomping at the bit to get out there and buy commodity stocks. It's still on that AI theme and
Yeah.
things like that.
If a lot of technicians are saying one thing, it doesn't mean sentiment's over.
Right. We're a small
Probably,
group.
you probably want to pay really close attention. But no,
Right.
you want me to throw up AMD real quick? Let's just do AMD.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, this is not to say throw out your tech stocks, but it is to say get ready for a world where maybe tech stocks are not the only game in town. So AMD, if you got to take a shot on one, I couldn't find a better one to do it than AMD right here. I bought this retest back in February, got long calls, one of my best trades of the year. Now we're
Nice.
back to the scene of the crime. Maybe I'll be long calls before we're closed today. So AMD all day long above the prior cycle highs, call it 163.
There we go. I like it. Let's move on to Alumina.
Oh, Alumina. This used to be such a sexy stock. What happened to you, Alumina? Yeah, so I don't know. What's the
Why don't
time
you
frame?
zoom out, show them what you're talking about.
Yeah. You have a time frame at all?
Let me get that.
So I mean, this one has just been so good over the years. This is the genomics kind of bellwether, or at least it used to be. I don't know if that's even still the case. Now you have some sort of topping formation. I could draw lines here in a number of places.
Yeah, we don't have a time frame.
Yeah, I think I'm going to draw it right here. Okay. So this is no good. This is a 10-year top at this point.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's terrible. Then you
Wow.
have this little coil. These things are supposed to change the world. You have this little coil here. If this resolves lower, and we're looking at a situation like this, this is such a great short, right?
Oof.
Um, biotech still struggling.
Yeah.
Got excited like the reversal was in, never really
Yeah.
left the station. On the other hand, if that changes, start to see some momentum come back into biotechs, and this chart starts moving higher, and we're drawing it like this come next week, we love these massive failed tops too in industry leaders, right? So I think for this one, it's the way this little coil that I've drawn in green here resolves. And then also 125 below there, risk is to the downside. There's an elevated chance of you taking a large loss on something like this. This is still a biotech, right? So I think you got to be above 125 here. And then say you wanted to take it for a trade, we can outline, some pretty clear levels.
I like that. And you should know fairly quickly, right? I
Yeah.
mean that flag should either resolve higher or lower pretty soon.
Yeah, that's right. But I don't like the looks of it, right?
Mhm.
Don't love the group. This one's been not working for a long time now, right? It's been
Mhm.
a bull market. Nobody told Alumina. So don't like to see that.
Yeah, not ideal there. Uh, let's move on to Zoetis, ZTS.
Ooh, speaking of industry leaders in the world of healthcare.
We
So
also do not have a time frame on this one, but
this is a secular trend that I'm super interested in. I'm a big pet guy. They don't just do pet medicine, but it's more like animal health care, right? It's like farm
mhm.
animal stuff too. So these
Yeah,
guys are absolutely awesome. This is I think it's a secular trend, animal health. But
yeah,
again, chart doesn't look great, right? We got all excited about biotechs in Q1 of this year. And then look at what happened. Let me zoom into the daily. We were right here at the upper bounds. Looked like Zoetis was ready to complete a trend reversal, maybe, head it back to these old highs. And something happened up here at this little
yeah.
shelf highs, right? And then,
It does look like a biotech. I don't
yeah,
really think of it like a biotech, but I guess you do classify it as a pharmaceutical biotech.
yeah, at least pharma, maybe bio. Um, but look, this thing just got blasted back into the range. You can't own charts that look like this, right? We want to own completed reversal patterns that are moving higher out of a structure like this, not ones that fail and fall back into it. So for Zoetis right now, this is so messy. I wouldn't long it. I wouldn't short it. I would put it on a list and maybe watch it and get interested back above 194,
I see. Yeah, I
really 200.
completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Back in the penalty box. So let's move on to Unity. Unity software.
Unity. So ticker
U,
symbol U. Again,
U.
same thing. This is a potential short, not a long. You can't buy charts that can't complete these reversal patterns. So many stocks, not just the best ones, just a lot of them now have completed reversal patterns. That means above the upper red rectangle here. Unity, we're kicking it around at the lower bounds. You can get cute only because we're at the lower bounds, and you could define your risk right here. So you know if you're wrong, maybe call it 24. I'm out. I lose 2, 3 points. Fine. I'm sure there's a nice momentum divergence in place. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to overthink it. Maybe you could trade it back to the upper bounds of the range, but for a longer term trade, if you want to be in something where the primary trend is higher, this has to be above 47.50, those summer highs from last year.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, just that simple rule of here we are in a bull market, and if your stock is at new 52-week lows or near it, that says a lot, right?
That's right. And this is, even if it wasn't at the bottom of the range, it's still in a range. It's trendless. As trend followers, we know that the odds are stacked in our favor when we are in things that are trending. This, by definition, is not trending, so we're not really interested in it.
Yeah. Kind of goes back to what you were saying about Zoetis, where really just nothing to do with it until it gets out of that range, right?
I mean, you could put on a cute trade against the lower bounds, right? Only because you're so well defined there, but it's probably going to
Yeah.
be sloppy and messy, and you might regret it.
All
What's
right,
next?
we got three more, and then I promise we'll get to the chat. So let's do PRKS. This is SeaWorld.
They
So they
changed
own
their ticker.
SeaWorld, PRKS, United Parks and Resorts.
Wait. So was there like a they used to have a different ticker.
Well,
Uh,
it used to be SeaWorld. Like the company would be called, maybe they changed their name.
and the ticker was C, no?
I thought so, yeah. It was
SEW. It
like
was
SEA.
SEAW.
SEAW?
Yeah, it's gone. So
Oh, yeah, it's
some sort
gone.
of restructuring, maybe a merger. I don't know.
It was probably because of all the negative press around SeaWorld. They
Like
probably
Blackfish,
rebranded.
that Blackfish documentary.
Yeah, I never saw it.
They kill orcas, or like the orcas kill people, and then they kill the orcas, but like they already hurt them. So then it's just the pet people go crazy, or the animal people. You can't do anything with this from here, right? I don't have any price memory, so as a technician, there's not much I could do.
Let's see. Base flagging since 2021 has some overhead supply. RSI been mostly bullish.
So whatever platform he's looking at, Sometimes when there's a merger like this, they will add the old data. Yeah. All right. Okay, trading view. We're trying to figure out a new solution. So I just pulled it up on my other chart platform, which I can't show you guys. Um, Basing since 21. Yeah. Listen, I'm looking at the expanded chart, which is taking two tickers and combining it, which maybe I would have to check what happened here from an M&A standpoint, but still just a total mess. Like if I were able to pull this chart up right now, it would look a lot like the last two that we just talked about.
Hmm.
In the box, big range. So for PRKS, you have lower bounds around 41. You have upper bounds here at like 76. Again, not shown in the chart on the screen. We're trading
Try
at,
try typing in W2L, Steve. I don't know if that looks the same, but
yeah, but it's German.
okay. Does it look like the one you were saying or no?
Yeah, that's it. So this is, thanks, Pat. That's
Yeah.
good. So this is what I'm saying, right? Again, it's just a range like this, and you're smack in the middle of it. So you really, unless you're going to be a real tactical guy and do something like this and try and call this a multi-month base, which I guess it is. Uh, if you just have to be involved in this, maybe against 50, target at the highs from last year, 65. But again, you outlining price levels within a broader range. I don't like any of these charts so far.
Yeah, and also not a leader, right? Not a relative strength name. Let's
Nope.
move on to Wavy's pick. KEX, Kirby Corporation.
I know this one. Yeah. Moonshot here. It's been good. You got a nice little base breakout. Let's just zoom out, see where we came from.
It's a shipping company.
Yep. I think you can make this clean. I think you could find a trade here. Wavy, you have cleaner bases than this one, but I see where your head's at. So maybe 124 to the upside, and I would draw the breakout level like this at 992.
Yeah.
So you just took it out in a big way too. So I love the decisive breakout shown here. Like we've been green like every week since January, just about. So this looks like an energy
We've
stock,
had one negative week this year.
and it really, I mean, that's
And
bullshit too.
and barely,
What a
yeah.
way to break the streak at down 20 basis points. Jeez.
Yeah, right.
So, weakness back towards 92, I'd prefer. Your target right now for a trade would be 124. And I think for longer time frames, you really want to get super interested above 124.
Yeah, I was gonna say I always feel weird using all-time highs as like a final price target. It's almost usually like a initial price target where you want to take off some, you want to trim your position and kind of lock in some profits. But a lot of the times once it completes, that's when the party starts.
Yep.
Um,
The better trade is made above those old all-time highs, like you're saying. So 124 to 179 eventually.
yeah. All right,
Good
we got
luck.
one more and then we can get to the chat here. GTX, Garrett Motion.
Like a midstream operator.
It looks like it, but they're an they make car parts. It looks like an MLP, doesn't it?
Absolutely. But they're doing stuff with diesel and other gas related things. So yeah, it's I don't think it's a coincidence. Either way, I'll drop a fib here. I feel like it's going to line up nicely for us. So above the 38, you have this clean little base right there. So weakness back towards 8.25 or two, or strength to 1275. But again, the profit potential here is just not great. And you're again in the middle of the range. So today's theme so far is just terrible charts.
All right, well, we'll see if the chart can, or if the chat can spice it up a bit here. Let's start with Dante's pick, TPL.
Texas Pacific. Listen, if this is the real deal for energy, Oh, look, I got it so marked up. Yeah,
What
we
is
know.
TPL? Is that it's a oil?
Think of this as like oil and gas royalty company,
Almost like a REIT, but like no.
kind of. Almost more like
I mean, the way you described it
like
actually is,
Franco Nevada is to gold, or some of these midstream operators are to energy, right? They're not doing the drilling. They're owning the assets or helping finance the assets and then taking a piece, right?
I
So
see.
different model. And we have seen this one work so well before, right? So look at the run off of the 2020 lows, 150 to almost 600, right?
Wow.
Gave back a good amount. And from 22 to late 22 again, from what, 300 to 900. So it can move. Still lower beta than most energy stocks. But this is a quality one, right? How do I know that? You zoom out forever. It's going back to early 90s here. Find me energy stocks that look like this. Go look at ExxonMobil. Go look at Chevron, ConocoPhillips, Royal Dutch Shell, BP. Even go to Canada, where they tend to have better energy stocks than us. Nothing is in a straight line higher like this. So this one, from a secular leader standpoint, is really interesting. It becomes becomes a matter of where do I get long, and not seeing much, but I'm gonna draw a trend line, Pat. I'm gonna draw a trend line, and just to illustrate that things are changing here,
I
right?
saw a Head and Shoulders. Maybe that's just my bias.
It is, because how am I gonna draw that? You would want me to draw it like this?
You got that. Yeah. Yeah, that's messy. You're right. Not a clear neckline.
I don't know. Either way, we've been consolidating for a few years now. Seems like just getting this trend line break from the November 2022 highs is probably a pretty big deal. I don't love it from a standpoint of like, where do I define my risk? So we drop a fib here on the drawdown. Okay. Maybe 608 is your 38%. You really want to see it retrace 38% at least before you start getting involved on something that's recently experienced a good drawdown.
Yeah.
Like it did in 22 and 23, right? So maybe you got the trend line break, but not the most important thing, probably the least important thing. Maybe get confirmation of this trend break on a reclaim of the 38% retracement here. Call it 608.
I like that. That's probably a good way to do it.
Take it back to 724. But this is a good one to be paying attention to in the current environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that move you were talking about in 2020. Whew. So let's move on to Marvel, MRVL, for 12 months.
Goodbye against like the 62% retracement right here. Right. So I'm not going to remark this. You got some sort of base here, maybe not the prettiest and maybe not the cleanest.
That's all right. I had mine drawn in the exact same. So
Right. I mean, how else can you do it? Then
yeah,
we get it done. We take out the 38%. Okay, base complete. Rip right through the 62, then a hard retest and shake. And now we're right there. So I think this is pretty actionable right here. Um, Semiconductors, a laggard within semiconductors. I'm not saying that means don't touch it, but again, are there probably better vehicles to express a kind of bullish semiconductor thesis? I would say definitely. But against 70, I do like this. Trade it back towards those old highs around 93.
I like it. Jonathan in the chat says, Straza, be careful. Use sunblocks next time.
What do you say?
Use
Oh,
sunblocks next time. You've
I
been
look
getting
like
out
a
in the
monster.
sun?
I'm not comfortable. I can't stop. When I get sunburnt, I get itchy. So I'm like just itching
What
my.
happened? Were you playing golf or
No,
fishing?
it was Saturday. I wasn't planning to do this. I had a buddy call me, be like, "Hey, get over to Key Haven. Like, can you get there in 10 minutes? We're going out. We were going to like a sandbar, doing some cool stuff. We're doing some water sports and stuff."
Oh, nice.
So I just rushed, I was rushing. When I'm golfing, I got sunblock in my bag, so I never
Huh.
miss. What's next?
All right. Let's talk about the miners real quick. Steve, check out the different setups in the miners. Mara, BITF broke out, and now they're back at support. CLSK, MSTR, Coin.
No, no, no.
Run
You
already.
get I get it. Okay. Bitcoin miners. Um, I put a small trade on him. I put a good trade on him earlier this year. A smaller trade on him. I can't keep going back to the well for these guys. There are too many things working in crypto to sit here and obsess over these miners that used to be good. Mara still super clean, 18, 19. That's been our level, right? But again, this reminds me of Oxy over the years, right, Pat? Like not
Yeah,
breaking down, but it
right,
goes up, but it doesn't stay up, right? So like
right.
if you want to trade it, go for it. Listen, I've had a great time. I traded this wave, I traded this wave. And then I tried to trade this a few weeks ago and my calls went to zero. So again, for me, I'm at the point now where we've done well enough on the miners for how crappy their charts look. So I think you don't want to get greedy here. Go to the ones that are working. Go buy MicroStrategy against its prior cycle highs, right? It's a
Yeah,
leader. It's been working. It's been working over all time frames. You're getting a pullback, a really sweet retest back to the 2021 highs. I would much prefer something like that. The miners are guilty until proven innocent right now.
yeah, and to Oxy's credit here, it is finally moving, right?
Finally, it better be.
Finally doing it, right?
Everything else is.
I know, I thought that trade was going to be too easy, just riding Warren Buffett's coattails, but it's finally going. You
Pat,
got a 52-week high for the first time last week.
Pat, I promise you it wasn't easy. We started talking about Oxy like here in March of 2022.
Right.
The
That's
more
fair. Yeah.
still there.
Yeah.
So that's what he's talking about. All right, what's next?
All right. Let's see. What do we got here? Let's do OKE.
Oak, one oak, one oak, onak. All right.
Looks like it's still coiling. This is from Fuzz
I think it's
with three
going.
Z's.
I think it is
Oh wow.
going.
Wow.
Something like that. 76, 77, long all day. I was looking at RRGs with an energy though this morning, and this is a laggard within its space. Slow mover, I think it pays a nice yield. I think it's more nat gas. 4.8%. Not bad. Yeah, it's a pipeline operator. So it will be a slower mover. Here's the thing about these pipeline companies, the MLPs. I could say the same thing about the refiners. Lower beta, less offense. In fact, like you could consider them defensive within energy. Nothing in energy is defensive, right? But if you had to pick, these groups have lower beta, they're more defensive. These groups have higher beta, right? The ones that work in bull markets are the explorers and producers and the oil field services. The MLPs and the refiners tend to lag during bull markets. So when you're thinking, I want to put a bullish bet on energy right now, you want to go to the riskiest ones that are going to pay you the best if you're right. So I really think you don't want to be in a name like this. It is super well defined though. If you have to own it, and this really has to be your vehicle. 76, 77 is that level, not below there because you're back in the box. And price target 117. I think you could go down the cap scale though and find a smaller mid cap explorer producer that could potentially double or triple in the same time frame.
Yeah, I mean, it's always amazing how nuanced the energy sector is. And
Yes.
you know a lot about it, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot of different areas. But let's stay on that theme and do LNG. Schneer.
All right, two more after this.
Cool. You got a Yukon Husky fan in the chat.
Oh, I know. What's he saying?
He just said, "Woo, let's go."
Who is
And
it?
so, this is Drew, 33. And someone else said, "Love MLPs. Gotta love K1 tax."
Yeah, it sucks. I think he's being facetious.
No, he is, yeah.
So LNG holding its uptrend line off of the summer 2022 lows. You don't want to see that break again. Energy stocks are ripping. They look so good. Pat knows, right? They're coming across your radar every time
Oh
you run
yeah.
your scans, and
Oh
you
yeah.
want to buy all of them. This is
Oh
not
yeah.
one of them. Like, buy the ones that look good, guys. This is if you're still stuck in a range while energy's been up for 12 straight weeks and you can't even have a, this this looks terrible. I love Cheniere too. But whatever's going on with natural gas right now, this is the industry leader in liquefied natural gas and the transport of. It doesn't look good. Natural gas doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Go
Kind
to
of
the
goes back
old
to what you
school.
said earlier about how nat gas is kind of its own animal within energy, right? It
That's right.
doesn't really follow what crude's doing.
Go to the old school oil names. Like if somebody had, God forbid, asked about Exxon, I would say, yeah,
Yeah,
buy them all
somebody
day.
did. Yeah, Mark Zerby asked about Exxon. Yeah,
Boom.
XOM.
Exxon, yes,
Yeah.
gotta be long, right? If I just fib out this range right here, 135, above 120, 135. You want a longer term price target? I can give it to you. But this is a good vehicle, right? Just a fresh breakout. Uh industry bellwether.
While we're on it, let's look at Marathon too. Daniel asked about that
Wrong?
one.
Yeah, so 150 over longer time frames. So
That's a
marathon,
nice setup
another,
there.
this one's good too. I think you can, ooh, you know what you could do here, Pat?
Drop a wop.
No, you could just
Uh,
triangle this out. You could drop a WAP too. Yeah, you're right.
I like how you do this. You'll draw an upper trend line like that, and then kind of jump the breakout, right? Use that as kind of, and then the breakout is confirmation to you.
That's right. That's right. So this one, I mean, you could buy a resolution of this giant range, and then stamp your price target at the old all-time highs, right?
Look at that double top there.
So this is probably happening around 30, target of 42. Not bad, 35%. This is a big name too. Marathon's
Uh,
good.
you you want to take a look at AMR? I know you like that one.
Yeah, Cole's
Or
good.
well, I don't know if you not like it right now, but I know you follow it. How about that?
Again, like I was just running an RRG um, with all of the energy subgroups, and we include coal and uranium in there. And that's just not where you want to be right now. It was the opposite last year and the year before that, right? Oil
Yep.
and gas was kind of stuck in a range. Uranium, coal are ripping. Time to buy coal was back here in 2021 or here in 2023, right? Right
hmm
now, these things look very toppy. Let me look at a daily. The structural trend is still like clearly higher, but I don't know. What do you do here, right? So if I needed to get an AMR, and I get it, this name is spectacular. This has been the single best performing stock in the entire stock market off of the pandemic lows in 2020. You won't
Really?
believe
So this is
it.
kind of the post-pandemic.
Yeah.
This is the best one.
These guys have bought back like a third, almost 40% of their share float over the past few years. Like the buybacks here, this will be like a Harvard business study one day what this company's done. It's
Was it?
absolutely,
It was in single digits, right? In
yeah, it was
COVID.
like at $1.
Oh my gosh, it was
$2,
318 bucks.
$2 to, yeah.
You
And
can't even get that with like you go back and look at Amazon or some of the best American companies.
yeah. And this is a
Wow.
coal company, not a solar energy company, not a clean energy company,
Oh man.
semiconductor, not a software stock. These guys are mining, producing coal. So
Wow.
forget everything that they teach you, right? But again, you want to be above the AV WAP from these all-time highs back in February. That comes in right here around 335. So I'm not saying don't touch this thing. I'm saying let it prove itself to you first because momentum has really come off in this name and it's become a relative or an underperformer or a laggard within its own industry group or sector.
Yeah. No, I think it's kind of just in no man's land and kind of has to. It's got to do something before you can really have a bias on it.
For sure.
Let's do one more and then we'll cut it. Let's do let's do GoDaddy.
Oh,
Or actually, FDM if you can. What is that?
internet.
Uh, never mind, never mind.
Give me an
Let's
individual
just do
stock.
GoDaddy. Man,
The
this thing.
the consolidation in GoDaddy,
Wasn't it like a decade or something?
just historic.
And it was tight too. It wasn't like this.
It wasn't a decade, but God, for a tech
Oh,
stock,
5 years. Okay.
look at that. So we finally get out of this range. Let's flip it to the weekly. Look at that, Pat.
Oh my gosh.
So this
What
is
a mess.
the domain name provider and web hosting platform, GoDaddy.com. They used to have really cool commercials.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Remember they used to sponsor Danica Patrick?
yeah, yeah, funny. So you fib it out. The first fib extension just got hit at 120. So I think you could redefine your risk right along, yeah, current levels right here. Weakness back towards 119 would be great. We're trading just above 125 today. And the next fib comes in around 168.50. Bottom line is, if you just look at the straight line higher since resolving this base fall of last year, right? 89, we're at 125 today. Most tech stocks have not been trending that well. So look at GoDaddy versus XLK over the same time frame. Well, yeah, when you zoom out, maybe it doesn't look like a leader in tech, but if you zoom in, straight higher since the summer of last year, this one's completing a trend reversal against its sector peers. So I like the recent action just over the past couple of quarters a ton in this name. If you get a relative trend reversal here in GDDY, XLK, say that we take out these pivot highs from October 2022, that would indicate to us that this stock should outperform more, continue to show relative strength over longer time frames, and then you can, find a place to pick your spot here against this fib. 119, 120, upside to 168. Yeah, this is great. A lot of momentum here. Nice.
I like it. Just a couple general questions that you might be interested in answering. If every company within the energy sector is pushing up the sector, why not stick with the ETF, XLE as a whole?
Because they're not all pushing it up. You're going to get the bad ones too, right?
Although that XLE chart is really shaping up. I don't know if it breaks out right here. I mean, that's a really, really long-term breakout we're talking about, but it's
It,
getting close.
it depends on who you are, right? Like some portfolio managers would say, no, I want XLE. It's lower volatility, right? I don't
Right.
need the extra upside or whatever. I need the low volatility. But most individual investors, if you've been around long enough, you want the best stocks and the best groups.
Yeah.
So I would go into energy, pull up the XLE components, ask yourself which one looks the best or the strongest. You could run momentum indicators, simple performance over trailing 1, 3, 6 months, whatever. Pick one of the good ones. I'll throw something out. Like here's Canadian. This won't be an XLE, right? You want to buy stuff that looks like
CNQ.
that,
Steve,
or
this CNQ was at the very top of the buzz list this week.
so
Pe-
good,
People are looking at
so
it.
good. Here's one of my favorites. Here, if you want something actionable and ExxonMobil's too boring because ExxonMobil looks great,
Oh,
right?
there you go.
There. But ConocoPhillips, it'll
That's
just give
completed
you
the
a little bit
base.
more beta than Chevron and Exxon, but it's this is a large multinational integrated operator. It's not going to be super juiced, right? Uh,
Right.
Conoco is a good one and it's super actionable. Go look at the components and pick one that's clean, ready, right? Fresh breakout, and that if you want it, gives you a little bit more beta than maybe some of the larger players or the ETFs.
And then last question, Brendan wants to know if you closed out your AG position yet. You don't have to tell us if you don't
Yeah,
want, but
I tell
cool.
just so you guys know, not many people do what I do. I come on here, I'm like obnoxiously transparent about what I'm doing in my
You
own
you
accounts.
are, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I get yelled at even internally for doing it. Just so you all know, you're welcome. So, did I close out AG? Yeah. And if you're watching the shows, what was it, Pat? Last week, I said it when I was doing it.
Yeah.
It's on the morning
Yep.
show.
You
I
said
told you
AG, Wheaton, not Wheaton. No, what was the other one?
Wheat and
When you
PAS.
said AG was your go-to vehicle for silver.
AG is always my go-to vehicle. Always. Um, big
Mine's PAS, PAAS.
Yeah, Pan American's a good one too. Absolutely. Listen, I like silver. And Pat, we talked
Nope.
about it where you were like, what, Steve? He's interested in precious metals. I felt it coming. I felt that this breakout was the one simply because the way these stocks were acting off the lows. They just started ripping, big momentum. I got out of AG on this candle and I actually did it like earlier in the day. So we were up like 16 or 17%.
Oof.
Calls were
Oh,
eight,
nice.
nine.
That if you're in calls, that's the time to do it because you're gonna,
Sell
when
strength.
you have that energetic move, you have to sell into it because otherwise you're gonna get eaten up in theta decay,
Yeah.
hoping for a little bit extra upside.
I was in $6 calls. I bought them out of the money and then they ripped big
Oof.
into the money. I was up like 10x. It was not a large position, but it worked very well. I'm out. So right now I have no exposure to precious metals. I'm going to let these trends cool because these things have been super hot. And then I'm going to get super involved in the coming weeks. And we're going to talk about it on all the shows. So just tune in and you'll hear what we're doing.
I love it. I love it. Well, Steve, thank you so much for sharing all this good stuff. We'll be back on Thursday. I'll be doing the charts, so be sure to get if you guys want us to give priority to your tickers, be sure to email us at questions@stockmarketmedia.com and we'll give priority to those on Thursday. Steve, any last words?
No, just special programming though. A bit of a change in the regular schedule this week. We'll be traveling to Miami tomorrow. So Hot Corner will not be as regularly scheduled tomorrow. It's in 15 minutes right here.
Hey,
Join us at 2 o'clock Eastern time.
so stick around. Awesome.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you guys.
Peace.